My niece blew out the candles on my son's cake and said, "He's too weird to make wishes." Anyway, my sister laughed and said, "She's just being playful." I didn't say a word. The next morning, her rent transfer bounced as I'd stopped covering it. And then, Amanda leaned over the table, blew out the candles before my son even took a breath, and said loud and clear, "He's too weird to make wishes anyway." She wasn't smiling. He meant it. And my sister laughed. C actually laughed in front of everyone, like it was a cute little joke. Then she looked at me and said, "She's just being playful." I didn't say a single word. Not to Amanda. Not to her. Not to the other family members who suddenly got very quiet. I just looked at my son. He didn't cry. He didn't protest. He didn't ask to relight the candles. He sat back down, pulled a cupcake toward himself, and started eating it slowly. Not one person offered to say anything to fix it. Not even a, "Hey, let him blow them out next time." But I didn't say anything either. Not yet, because I had already decided something that morning. I was done being the silent one. What no one at the party knew was that for the last 6 months, I'd been quietly paying my sister's rent. She lost her job in April, said she'd only need help for a month or two. She guilt-tripped me by saying Amanda didn't deserve to suffer for her mistakes, and that she'd be back on her feet soon. It was now December, and she was still figuring things out while drinking iced coffees and posting fake work-from-home setups on her Instagram stories. Meanwhile, I was stretching my grocery budget to make sure her rent cleared on time. My son didn't even get the gift he wanted this year because I had to choose between that and paying for Amanda's school trip last month. Another emergency my sister begged me to cover. But what she and Amanda had done at that party was something different. It wasn't thoughtless. It was cruel, targeted. My son wasn't weird. He was just quiet. He liked things other kids didn't. He got overwhelmed in big crowds. He never threw tantrums. He never made a fuss. But somehow, Amanda always found a way to turn him into the punchline. That morning, hours before the party started, I'd opened my banking app and canceled the automatic rent payment that was supposed to go out the next day. I didn't hesitate, and I didn't tell her. The next morning, 8:11 a.m., her rent bounced. At 8:13, I got the first message. "Hey, my rent didn't go through. Did something happen with your bank?" At 8:27, another one. "Grace, seriously, this is due today. Call me then at 9:02. Wow. So, you're ghosting me now? I have a child. Don't forget that. I responded at 9:15. Just one message. Life however you want without my money. You never appreciated it, and you never respected my son. You're no longer family. She showed up at my door just after 10. I didn't open it. I watched through the peephole as she yelled at my front door, pacing back and forth in her leggings and oversized hoodie. I knew that hoodie. I bought it for her 2 Christmases ago. He kicked a potted plant on her way out. By noon, she was calling our mother. By 3, the rumor started that my son was unwell, that he wasn't mentally present, and I refused to acknowledge his problems, that I was overprotective, that he had undiagnosed autism, and I was hiding it out of embarrassment. She said I had finally snapped and cut her off because I couldn't handle the truth. I thought she'd stop there, but she didn't. She started telling people quietly, carefully, that I'd once shoved Amanda on a family trip, that Amanda had never felt safe around me, that I had issues, emotional ones, that maybe I wasn't fit to be raising a child like mine. I found out about all of this within 48 hours. One of our cousins messaged me asking if it was true. I had no idea what she meant when she told me I couldn't even respond. Not for a while, because I realized something then. Amanda blowing out the candles wasn't a one-off moment. It was a warning shot. And I had ignored the years that led up to it. Every passive insult, every eye roll, every little joke whispered behind my back, or in the car, or across the table when they thought I wasn't listening. They thought I'd keep paying, keep nodding, keep playing nice. But I'd been quiet long enough. 3 days after the party, my mother called me whispering like she was in a confessional. She asked if it was true that my son had been struggling, and I just didn't want to face it. Said she heard from a few people that I was in denial, and maybe it was time to consider getting him professionally evaluated. I asked her where she heard that from. She paused, then said, "Your sister is worried about you. She just wants to help. That's when I realized how far my sister had already gone. She wasn't just trashing me in a group chat. She was planting rumors, trying to convince people that my son was broken, that I was unstable, and that cutting her off financially was some kind of emotional outburst, not a choice. She didn't think I'd fight back. She never had to deal with me angry before. The next day, I started documenting everything. I pulled bank statements, 6 months of rent transfers to her account, plus every last emergency I'd covered. I printed the texts, the voice messages, the screenshots from her Instagram, even the one she deleted a few hours later. Then I messaged my lawyer. I asked one question. What counts as defamation when it's about a child? He asked me to come in. Turns out lying to people about a minor's mental health status, especially when it's being spread in a way that damages the parent's reputation, falls under defamation. And if you can prove intent, malice, or measurable damage to your reputation, or your child's well-being, that case becomes very real very fast. I didn't want money. I didn't want revenge. I wanted her to shut her mouth. I wanted her to stop turning my son into her punchline, into her excuse, into her story. I filed the paperwork 2 weeks later. By that time she had no idea what was coming. She thought the worst I could do was block her number. When the letter arrived at her door, certified and signed for, she called me 9 times in an hour. I didn't answer. She left voicemails crying, saying she didn't mean it like that. Amanda was just joking, and she didn't know it had gone that far. The next day, I got a text. We're family. You wouldn't really do this to us, but I would, and I already had. What she did next wasn't an apology. It wasn't regret. It was panic. She started deleting posts, messages, backtracking in group chats, messaging people individually saying there had been a huge misunderstanding, trying to clean up her tracks before it was too late. But it was already too late because a week after the paperwork was filed, I received a screenshot from someone I barely talk to anymore, an old coworker who happened to still follow my sister. She'd posted a cryptic story about people turning on you when you need them the most, and tagged a location, family court. She was unraveling in real time, and all I did was watch. The court date was set for February. Civil suit, defamation, emotional distress, and slander involving a minor. I wasn't looking for headlines. I wasn't trying to humiliate her. I just wanted it on record what she said, what she did, and what it cost me. What it could have cost my son if I hadn't caught it early. In the weeks leading up to it, I didn't say a word. He kept trying though. She sent a long email titled, "Before you do something you regret." It was 4 paragraphs of guilt and gaslighting. How she was a single mom. How Amanda was going through a phase. How I should have corrected her privately instead of making it a federal case. No apology, just excuses. Then came the threats, subtle ones. That she'd tell the court I'd been emotionally unstable since my divorce, that my son was already showing signs of delayed learning, that people were on her side. I forwarded it all to my lawyer. Meanwhile, Amanda posted a TikTok using an audio that said, "If I get dragged, I'm taking everyone down with me," with some fake crying filters. The caption was, "Family's wild lately. People were commenting things like, "Your aunt's crazy, she's obsessed with you, she needs to touch grass." Amanda liked every one of them. The final straw came a week before the hearing. My sister texted me, "You're seriously dragging your niece into a lawsuit. You're a monster." I didn't reply, but I saved it. The morning of court, she actually showed up with Amanda. Matching outfits like this was a performance. She wore beige slacks and carried a binder with absolutely nothing in it. Amanda chewed gum in the hallway like she was bored out of her mind. My sister looked at me like she expected me to cry or panic, or offer her one last out. Instead, I handed over the stack of documentation we'd prepared. Bank transfers, texts, screenshots, digital messages, and statements from 2 people she'd lied to who were willing to tell the court exactly what she said, when, and how it made them doubt my parenting. The hearing itself wasn't dramatic. It was quiet, almost clinical. Her lawyer looked uncomfortable the entire time. Mine spoke clearly and directly. The judge asked very few questions. At the end of it, my sister was ordered to pay $18,000 in damages. The number wasn't random. It was based on months of harassment, reputational harm, emotional distress, and the cost of correcting the lies she spread, including therapy appointments I had to schedule for my son, who had overheard one of her rants to a family member on speakerphone. She didn't look at me when the ruling was read. Amanda did though. For the first time she actually looked nervous. They walked out fast. That night I got a text, "Please withdraw the lawsuit, please. I can't afford this, I'm not working." Amanda's scared. "You've made your point, just stop." I read it, then I deleted it. She had a 100 chances to stop before this. He chose not to, so I chose this. After the ruling she disappeared for a while. No calls, no texts, no more drama online. Even Amanda went quiet. Her TikTok account went private. I heard through someone that they were staying with a friend across town, couldn't make rent, and were trying to break their lease without penalty. I didn't feel sorry. For the first time in years, I could actually breathe in my own house without wondering what last-minute emergency would hit my account next. I could buy my son what he needed without mentally subtracting money I'd never see again. And most of all, I didn't have to sit across from people who secretly believed he was broken just because he wasn't like Amanda. But of course, the silence didn't last. 2 weeks later, she showed up at my house. This time, she didn't knock. She just sat in her car across the street with the engine running. I saw her through the blinds, smoking, staring at the front door like she was trying to will it open. She stayed there for almost 20 minutes, then drove off. The next day, I got another text. "Can we talk?" I didn't reply. An hour later, "I'll drop the lies, everything, I'll fix it. Just please take the lawsuit off the record. Amanda's being bullied at school. They're calling her the liar kid. I'm begging you." I didn't reply to that either because now she wanted to make it about Amanda, not about what she did. Not about the months of manipulation, the lies, the humiliation. Not about the fact that she used my child's name like a weapon, like a shield, like an excuse to get pity from people who didn't know better. Let me say this clearly. I didn't sue Amanda, I sued her mother, the adult, the one who knew exactly what she was doing. But Amanda, she was learning directly from her, and I wasn't going to let that keep going. My son started smiling more after the case ended. Not a lot, he's not that kind of kid. But it was different, lighter, like he felt safer, even if he didn't know why. I never told him the full details. I never used those names. He just knew we didn't talk to them anymore. One night, he asked me if he was weird. I asked him what he meant. He said Amanda used to say it when they were alone too. Not just at the party, Thanksgiving, at the park, once during a car ride. He said it like he'd been holding it in, like he didn't want to get anyone in trouble. That's when I knew for sure this wasn't just a case. It was protection. The next time my sister texted, she tried a different approach. "We're not perfect, but I'm still your sister. We share blood. I made mistakes, but you're blowing this out of proportion. You've embarrassed me. Amanda's in therapy now. You win. You win." This wasn't about winning. It was about drawing a line where she thought I never would, and not stepping back once it was drawn. After the judgment, she lost more than money. She lost control. And that's what she really couldn't handle. That's when she turned to the one thing she had left, the family. It started small. A cousin I hadn't heard from in a year messaged me saying she was concerned about the tension and asked if there was any way to settle this privately. Then, an uncle sent me a voice message asking if I could let bygones be bygones for the sake of the holidays. That's when I knew she was working the phones. She told them I'd overreacted, that I'd sued her because she made a harmless joke, that Amanda was being harassed at school because of me, that my son had behavioral issues I refused to acknowledge, and she was just trying to help. She spun the whole thing like she was the victim of a bitter, vindictive sister who couldn't take a joke, and had dragged a teenage girl into a legal nightmare just to prove a point. Some of them bought it, or they wanted to, because it was easier than accepting the truth. That for years they'd laughed along with her, stayed quiet, looked away. Every time Amanda crossed the line, and every time my sister excused it. One aunt even called me and said, "Family isn't courtrooms, Grace, it's forgiveness." I told her, family isn't slander. It isn't manipulation, and it isn't laughing. When your niece tells your son he doesn't deserve to make a birthday wish, she didn't call back after that. But here's where it backfired on my sister. People started asking questions, real ones quietly at first, then more boldly, like, if Grace was so unstable, why did you let her pay your rent for half a year? Or if Amanda's just a kid, why did she make fun of her cousins so often? Or why did you lie about Grace? Pushing Amanda. She didn't have good answers. She never does when it's not in a group chat or behind someone's back. The truth started spreading and it moved faster than the lies. I didn't defend myself. I didn't send explanations. I didn't do damage control. I stayed quiet and let her keep talking because every time she did, someone else saw her for what she really was. And then something happened that I didn't expect. Amanda's school counselor reached out, not to me, to my lawyer. Apparently, Amanda had broken down in one of their sessions and admitted she'd been told by her mother to say certain things, that she didn't fully understand how serious it was, but now she was scared because kids were talking and teachers were watching her differently. She said she wanted to apologize, but she was afraid her mom would find out. The counselor wasn't allowed to share the full details, but she submitted a statement voluntarily, a signed one. It was enough to add to the file. Enough to make the court's decision airtight if my sister tried to appeal, which she wouldn't. Not after this. Amanda wasn't innocent, but she was raised in the middle of it. She copied what she saw. And now she was paying the price for something she was groomed into thinking was normal. It didn't make me feel better. It just made me realize how deep the damage went. I had protected my son, but the mess my sister created was still echoing, and it wasn't finished yet. It was early spring when the final letter came. An envelope, no return address, but her handwriting, the kind she always used when she was trying to seem thoughtful. Inside was a 3-page letter, rambling, inconsistent, equal parts apology and blame. She said she was sorry for what Amanda said at the party, then immediately followed it with, "You know how kids are." She said she didn't mean to spread lies. Then said she only told people what she suspected about my son because she was concerned. She said the lawsuit had ruined her. Then added, "You didn't have to take it this far. You broke up our family." She still didn't get it even now. And in the final paragraph, she begged, said she couldn't pay the full amount, that her account was frozen, that they were living with a friend, and Amanda cried at night because she didn't understand why everything had fallen apart. She asked me to withdraw the lawsuit. She asked me to help her. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't even feel anger, just clarity. Because the truth is, I had helped her over and over, quietly, generously, without asking for anything back. I helped her when she needed rent. I helped Amanda get on that school trip she couldn't afford. I helped them eat, stay afloat, live with dignity. And the entire time she mocked my son, mocked me, twisted the story into something that would give her sympathy and me shame. And when I finally said no, when I finally fought back, she acted like I was the one who betrayed her. I didn't respond to the letter. I didn't shred it either. I added it to the folder because here's what she never expected. That the sister who always stayed quiet, who always forgave, who always picked up the slack, would one day stop explaining herself, stop fixing everything, stop caring if she was hated for doing what was right. Amanda hasn't reached out. I don't think she will, and that's fine. Maybe in time she'll grow into her own voice. Maybe not. Either way, I'm done carrying the weight for both of them. My son turned 9 last week. No drama, no surprise guests, just a quiet backyard afternoon, his favorite cake, and a single candle. He made his wish, and he blew it out all by himself.